My name is Christina Pratt, and I'm a shamanic healer. And to me, that means that I just do traditional shamanic healing with contemporary people. In shamanic healing, there's one of two things happening. There's either energy outside of a person that needs to be brought back to them because it belongs in their body and it's not there, or there's energy inside the person that shouldn't be there and it needs to be taken out. Shamanic healing is need-driven. If someone doesn't need help, there's nothing you can do. It's not like a massage, where if someone doesn't need a massage, you can still massage them. And so for Jackie, what you need to do is you need to meditate and focus on not the specifics of your need, but the size of it. The how bad do you want it, the feeling of how great your soul wants to be whole and full and ready to express itself in your life. And that need then will be the energy that drives my journey on her behalf. And so the first thing that I'll do is rattle and sing, and it's a way in which I gather my power and connect with the helping spirits that work through me to do this work on Jackie's behalf. And then after that, I will lie down next to her and enter into the spirit world and look for whatever can help Jackie to heal at this time. And you'll hear me asking that question and then narrating the answer as it's happening for me in the journey. So I'll just now, because there's different kinds of energy, there are different names. For example, you could bring back a soul part because they've lost a part of their soul, or you could bring back some sort of spirit help or some sort of power to support them. So those are two different kinds of energies, but basically they're out here and they need to be in there. And similarly, energy needs to be taken out. So it can be a cleansing where it's dispersed energy that needs to be removed, or an extraction where there's a specific energy, for example, in a tumor or something that needs to be removed. It's really just in or out. And that's shamanic healing. And what makes it shamanic healing and not some other form of energetic healing is the shaman's journey. That whenever the shaman is working, they're entering into a trance state so that their spirit helpers can work through them. And I'm following a child who's walking down a path that seems to be leading to a tent that looks like a big circus tent. And I call out to her and she sees me and she starts running again. So I'm going to call in for a helping spirit to try to find a way to stop her so that I don't chase her and frighten her. So I'm going to take a moment and call out for a helping spirit that can help me in finding what this little girl needs to feel safe to come home. I personally believe that to really do shamanic work, you have to adjust your awareness to a shamanic perspective, which is very not contemporary. Our American, European, Western culture is based on the fundamental spiritual idea that we are separate from God. We got kicked out of the garden. Or one way or another, we are somehow separate from God, and what we need to do in our lifetime is somehow reconnect. That is not shamanic. From a shamanic perspective, not only were they never kicked out of the garden, but they can't be kicked out of the garden. It's not possible to have a separation from God. So to go through your life acting as if there's some separation going on isn't compatible with being a shaman. It's fine to feel that way if you're coming for help from a shaman, but if you're really going to be a shaman, you have to take your contemporary mind and take it back into a shamanic mindset, which means you have to give up the seduction of separation. You have to accept that you are one with all things, which means you got to grow up fast and be really responsible about everything. And she comes gently and carefully forward to touch the tiger, and I just begin to whisper to her in a tiger talk. I whisper to her that it's time for her to come home and learn what it feels like to be loved. And she says, "But I'm so scared." She says, "It was so awful." And the tiger says, "How old were you when you left?" She says, I was only 2 years old, and I was so afraid. And the tiger begins to purr and begins to lick her the way a cat would lick their kitten. They use animals, but they also use plant spirits, elemental spirits, even mythical beasts, and also sometimes gods and goddesses, depending on which shaman you're talking to or which culture you're working with. It's very often animals in traditional shamanism, because when we're faced with the entire oneness of the universe without a face on it, we don't deal with that very well. So that energy of the connectedness of all things, it comes to us through a bear or through a snake because those forms resonate with us. They have meaning already in our psyche somehow.
And there's a human-like being coming down in robes in front of me on the outside of the tent, and I ask the being, what is this tent? And it is the tent that's filled with the ancestors in this family line that never learned how to love and passed this illness down generation after generation, and all of those ancestors are there in that tent. And I ask her who she is. And she says that she is an ancestor who never forgot how to love, and that she will come back with the little girl to make sure that the bonding between Jackie and the little girl is complete and full.
One of the things that arises for me working with people doing the soul retrieval work in particular is often I end up with issues that are connected to their ancestors. And we often think, at least in shamanic work, the way it's presented, we think of the ancestors as a good thing and energy that stands behind us and supports us. But what we're dealing with now as contemporary people is 2,000 years of history of ancestors that didn't do their healing work in their lifetime. They didn't take care of their dead. From a shamanic perspective, there's a big mess in the way human beings have treated each other, particularly for the last 2,000 years. And every time a person dies without resolving their healing in their lifetime, the need to do that healing gets passed on to the next generation. And so what's happened then, if you've got 2,000 years of people living, not healing, and dying, and passing that stuff on, the other thing that occurs is in each generation, a pattern goes unresolved, it picks up momentum. And so it slams into the next generation harder and harder and harder. So one of the manifestations of that I see in my work is a 24-year-old young woman with rheumatoid arthritis like an 84-year-old woman. So you have illnesses that are actually the manifestation of these ancestral patterns, but they're coming on at enlightening speed in people's lives. And these are old age diseases that are appearing in young people.